Hey everyone, happy Wednesday, hump day. I'm providing a little Facebook Live and weather update here, not just on Facebook, but also on YouTube. And you can watch the replay maybe a little bit later. But we've got storms headed our way tomorrow. Now, there have been some changes and some adjustments to the forecast. And I'm going to say personally, I don't think that the warm front is going to be making it into Northwest Arkansas. If it does, it'll be in the southern section of Northwest Arkansas. But that doesn't mean that we're out of the woods in terms of any type of threat. Flash flooding, I think, is going to be the primary concern in the Northwest Arkansas area. River Valley will be a tornado threat as the primary concern, but then also has the potential for large hail and flooding as well. And the farther south you go, the greater that threat becomes and the more it increases. Let me show you what we have today. Thunderstorms erupting in southern Arkansas and central Arkansas. In fact, we step through this, you'll see a tornado warning that was earlier issued from this cluster of storms that moved through Polk County, became severe warned. Then you can see it was flash flood warnings, kind of took a little bit of a right turn. And then there's the tornado warning as it was coming towards Hot Springs. Now that has since weakened. And really, honestly, the tornado parameters right now, this evening, not extremely favorable. But I think some things are going to start to change as this big weather system will be pushing in. And we're going to kind of go through that right now and show you the very latest. So first of all, let's show you that the flood watch has been expanded over the area. So this goes until noon, from noon tomorrow to noon Friday. Very heavy rain potential. You'll notice that tornado watch in Scott County, that's not going to last. That's going to be expired here very soon. They're just Little Rock is very busy with all the storms that are happening. Here's a look at the satellite radar on those storms that popped up, just barely clipping Scott County. Northwest Arkansas does have that flood watch from noon tomorrow to noon Friday. And yeah, Bill Denark is right. Everything's quiet now, but remember, we still have the energy that's coming in from the west. I gotta close this computer system and build it again and reboot it because it is very slow and we got to get ready for tomorrow. So check this out. Severe thunderstorm warnings for the Phoenix area. That gives you an idea of how intense this storm is, and all this energy will be making it east. Now, if we take a look and see exactly what that warning is, it's going to be a severe thunderstorm with a tornado possible. Wow, how about that? Tornado possible south of Phoenix. So just shows you what we've got coming. So let's show you on the future track. It's a lot of show yous, but here's what we're going to show you. Wow, I said it again. Here's a look at that front that's pushing south. And that front has been the focus for thunderstorm development today. Now, tomorrow, that front is expected to lift north, but just how much remains to be seen. Now, me personally, I think we're going to get some thunderstorms in Northwest Arkansas. It's going to be tough to say exactly where, but I do think widespread thunderstorm activity already by tomorrow morning and especially late morning. Now, this model, which updates every hour on my weather system, stops at 11 o'clock in the morning. If we go beyond that, you're going to see this system. This is a different model, shows those storms coming in. And then you can see it lifting northeastward. Now we may get a lull in the activity during the afternoon into the early evening. If that's the case, softball is going to try to play at 2 o'clock. I hope that happens. But look at all the additional storms that pop up. Now at this point, we're going to start to see a flash flooding threat. And we're talking about a significant flash flooding threat. Notice how the storms aren't quite as bright in Northwest Arkansas. And it's all because of the amount of instability. It's all where that warm front sets up. If that warm front sets up farther north, then we get the storms, and they could be tornadic in Northwest Arkansas. However, the warm front is looking like, according to the latest, and what I agree with, that it might be farther south. Now, the River Valley will be included in this. These cells right here will have the potential to produce tornadoes. Because what's happening now is not what's going to happen tomorrow. The wind shear is going to be a lot better. The energy is going to be a lot better. The system is really intense that's coming in. And then you can see all the rain that pops up. Now, here's the deal. We're not done with the rain by tomorrow evening. we've got more rounds of rain that happen during the morning and into the late morning. There's another round of storms. After this system finally comes through, there could be just a little bit in southwest Missouri, perhaps northern northwest Arkansas, of a little wintry mix. That's not the big story. Definitely the biggest story is the flooding threat. So, what are the individual threats for the individual areas? Well, for northwest Arkansas, this starts Thursday morning and goes into the night. So, we've got a high risk, or essentially a high probability for flooding, a high threat. We've got a high threat for flooding in the river valley as well. But the wind and the hail is a little less just because with the frontal position, there's a chance that with it being farther south, we don't have as much fuel for these thunderstorms. Tornado threat, while it's not zero, is appearing to be lower. And when we look at the river valley forecast, you're going to see quite a bit different story. Again, it looks like the humidity, the moisture, the tornado parameters, all that stuff sets up just along and south of I-40. And there's the flooding, wind, and hail threat. And I'll show you the reason why. And the tornado at the moment is in the moderate category. So let's look and see the new day 2 convective outlook. And you'll notice the farther south you go, the increasing threat develops. So still a threat in northwest Arkansas. River Valley is a level 2 for the most part. Southern River Valley is a level 3. And so there's that potential for storms to continue. Now, the greatest threat for those that live near Texarkana, for those that live near Shreveport, Arkadelphia, you got northeast Texas that's going to be impacted. Those areas are going to be under the greatest threat. If we look at the tornado potential, this is a hatched area for tornadoes. Hatched area, you'll notice, is what we call significant. Significant is EF2 to EF5 tornadoes. And you're going to notice there's the tornado hatched area clipping. You guessed it, Scott County and LaFleur County, southern LaFleur County. River Valley, not so much, but it's not zero. And it all depends on the warm front and where that sets up. And Josh says things look rough for DFW tomorrow. They do. Is the new Texas Tech WRF going to bring the warm front north, Josh? You let me know what you think, because I haven't had a chance to look at it. We can look at it together. We already looked at that. We already looked at the future track. Let me show you this. Hold on just a second. My wife is calling. Hey, loves. Hey, can I call you back? I'm doing a Facebook Live right now. I saw you call twice. Are you at home? Okay. I'll call you here before the 9. Okay. Love you. Bye. Okay. So, anyways, here is the flooding threat. The flooding threat is significant, and you'll see it's a level 3. Now, this might be a little bit of communication issues because I went with a high probability, and it shows a level 3, which is moderate. But moderate doesn't necessarily mean in terms of the risk. It's very confusing in my opinion because you got a 1, 2, 3, 4, and a level 3 out of 4. There's no extreme for the Weather Prediction Center. So, in my opinion, a moderate means that widespread flash flooding is going to be happening. So, there's going to be a lot of heavy rain. Now, check this out. 2 to 4 inches area wide with some higher amounts. And why don't we look at some of the computer models? Honestly, I think this is going to be more of a flooding story than a severe weather story that is in northwest Arkansas. So here's what we've got for the future track rain totals, and you're going to see they're pretty impressive. So this is when all the system comes through, and that's a lot of rain. 2.53, 2.68, nearly 3 inches in Bella Vista. That's some pretty heavy rain. And remember, this is just a model, but it gives you an idea of what you can expect. Now, it appears that there's going to be a very heavy corridor of rain, and this could be those supercells that are tracking in the river valley. That's going to be mainly in the Scott County, Sebastian County, Logan County, the usual suspects. LaFleur County, what has been basically the entire year severe weather-wise has all been focused in the river valley for the most part, and you can see that heavy rain that develops. if we look at the 4-panel with the different models and the different accumulations, they're all showing heavy rain. There's no doubt about that. You got the graph that's showing in 2 inches to nearly 3 inches. You got the European showing 3 to 4 in some locations, 2 to 4. You got the GFS that has a heavy bullseye of rain. And the NAM is showing a lot less storm activity, but the NAM typically is the oddball out and the one that's the outlier. So, again, to sum up, that's what we're looking at for the rain potential. Severe weather may not be in northwest Arkansas as much because of the position of the warm front. So Josh Weisel says the 18Z Texas Tech WRF pulled the majority of the mixed layer cape farther south into more of the river valley than the previous 2 runs it had, where it had the southern parts of northwest Arkansas. So it's also trending that way. And it makes sense because we have cold temperatures right now. In fact, Zach, you just got back from a dinner break. Was it pretty chilly outside?
A little bit cool.
Little cool.
Wasn't too bad.
Wasn't horrible, but definitely not feeling like a severe weather day.
Yeah.
Got mid to lower 50s, as you can see, and then upper 50s. So we still have that front that's draped through central Arkansas, and we are on the north side of the front. But we are getting heavy rain, folks. That I think, really honestly, that's what we need to focus on. And remember, flooding is the number 1 killer of severe weather, of thunderstorm phenomenon.
Oh, yeah.
Of the thunderstorm threats. Flash flooding is the number 1 killer, and about half of the people that get killed from flooding die driving their cars in flooded roads.
Turn around, don't drown.
Turn around, don't drown. Exactly. That's exactly what Zach said. It's a great idea, and that's what you need to do. It's easier said than done, though. A lot of people want to drive through that water, and it's just not a good idea. Turn around, don't drown. Because there can be some people that try to drive through it and do drown. And it's very scary, too. If you've ever watched a show about, with flooding, when cars, they fill up with water, it's dirty. It's dirty, muddy water. Dirty. It's dirty, muddy water that you can't see. It's cold, so that takes your breath away. And you're thinking, well, maybe I'll just open my door because I'm going to get out. You can't open your door
be able to.
because of the water pressure. The water pressure will keep your door closed. So then you try to open up the door. You can't. You might think, well, I'll just roll down the window. Well, you can't roll down the window because it's shorted out. It's probably electric. Duddy. I know, exactly. That's my I combined dirty and muddy and said duddy.
Yeah. Oh, I like it. New word.
Maybe tomorrow's system could be a duddy.
Let's hope so.
I know.
Right?
That would be really nice. So Larry says level 3 Crawford Sebastian tomorrow. So if you just missed it, we just showed that. This is the level 2. And there it is. A level 2 and a level 3. So we got level 3 not in Crawford and Sebastian County. I think that might shift north, but I don't know. The models are trending farther south with that instability.
Yeah.
They really are.
Yeah, they keep doing that.
Let's look and see what the significant tornado parameter is for the HRRR. So this is something that I haven't looked at yet on this. Let's see what happens. So you'll see it tries to surge north. It does in the river valley, but it's just not really there. It's mainly Scott County. Well, Roby, you can say that, but the flooding is definitely could be serious. But yeah, no, I understand. Worried about tornadoes. So I don't know. That's about all I can give you. So here's what to sum it all up. This is what I think is going to happen. This is our severe weather headlines. Okay, so first of all, we've got thunderstorm chances remaining south tonight. Tomorrow, severe potential will increase. And this is a big system, let me tell you. It's massive. So this can throw surprises where it's not looking like we have storms in the morning, early morning, and we might. Or it doesn't look like the warm front makes it north, and it does. There will be surprises from this system. I personally think it's going to be how much rain it develops.
Yeah.
There's going to be some really heavy rain, folks. So the timing of this, I said 6 a.m. at the very earliest. That's probably a little too early, but just in case.
Probably more like 8, 9,
Yeah,
10.
just in case storms pop up a little earlier than what the models show, which can happen a couple hours.
Yep.
That's why I've got that little time window in there for 6 a.m.
Then even after midnight, that rain can still be pretty heavy.
It can. So I probably need to continue that all the way through. The only reason I just said that is because the severe potential will, in terms of hail, lightning, or hail, damaging wind, tornadoes. And then we've got the greatest threat for tornadoes in the river valley. So that's kind of everything right there. There's really not much else to say. New risk is coming out at midnight. I'll not be here for it. Zach, I doubt you will as well.
No, probably not.
Yeah, we're going to be taking off. We're going to be getting ready for tomorrow. But definitely some thunderstorms to watch out for. River Valley could get really hit hard. Before we leave you, let's look at the Texas Tech WRF here. This is such a good model. It did really well, by the way, with the storms in Dallas today, because they had a lot of hail that was around. So let's look at this. So this is the Texas Tech. Let's see how far out it goes. So this is the latest one, the 18Z, the current run. If we look at convective, let's just look at updraft helicity and see what it shows. So there's the storms now, and that's pretty much right on the money what happened. And then there's the storms tomorrow. So that's already 16Z. That's before that's before noon. Golly, look at that. That's not good. Supercell composite. 16Z. That's already starting to build in there. If we look at the precip and look at the updraft helicity track, so this will show you. Oh, yeah. The only thing I'm concerned about, that doesn't look like tornado potential at that point, if the low instability can't make it. But then look at that. A lot of a line, but then the line does weaken as it comes through northwest Arkansas. Still a lot of rain, though. Let's show you how much precipitation. So accumulation, precipitation expected to be, whoa. Yeah. I don't know if you can see those purples, but we're talking 4, 5, 6 inches.
It's not good.
That is not good. And that is a bullseye right smack dab over southern Washington County. Yikes. Yeah, precipitable waters, I think, are through the roof, too. Let's see. Oh, yeah, like almost 2. So here's another thing we can do. We can look up the EFI. I wanted to show you this real quick. So this is the Extreme Forecast Index from the European. And basically what this does is it shows anomalous weather systems. So how strong is this system going to be? This is for today. And you can see that it's showing that maybe the Cape might be a little more than what it's predicting. And that is going through Thursday night. Then we go here. That's probably got the Cape a little east of us, but still there. If we look at the QPF, here's the precipitation that's expected. That's not good right there. That shows a highly anomalous event. We're talking about 0.9 to 0.95 or 0.8 to 0.9, it looks like, for us. So meaning that the probability is up there that this is going to be way more significant than your typical rainstorm. So this shows you the extreme type of forecast. And if we look at this one on Saturday, well, here's Friday. You can see not much on Friday. It all shows it south. So it's kind of pegged that pretty beautifully. And finally, Cape and Shear. There's just the Cape. And that shows it to the south. So, interesting.
That is not good for Southeast Texas.
No, Southeast Texas looks like it's going to get rocked. And I think the Arklatex region is going to be really impacted the most. So going back to those updraft helicity tracks, you can see those cells that are popping up. Okay. Well, I hope I had that up the whole time. I think I did. Hi, Dan. Will it be crazy tomorrow night? So let's show you how much rain develops. Depends what your example of crazy is, Amanda. Because we are going to see thunderstorms. There's going to be very heavy rain. As far as a tornado outbreak, though, not sure that will happen for Northwest Arkansas. But remember, we don't just cover Northwest Arkansas. So here is the thunderstorms tomorrow morning, and then they move out tomorrow afternoon. We get a break, and then tomorrow night, as you can see, things crank up quite a bit, more precipitation as well. Conway baseball tournament. Do they need to play Saturday, Sunday? Oh, they'll play fine Saturday, Sunday.
Oh, yeah,
Saturday,
it's gonna be-
Sunday's great weather. Yep, beautiful weather, Jennifer.
Yeah.
No problems there. The weekend's looking amazing.
Yep.
I'm just ready to start my garden. About that. Oh yeah, all is good. About that.
Another potential winter blast.
Yeah, we got cold weather coming in. I'm so frustrated with that for sure.
I could use a couple more snowstorms.
Come on, Zach. Zach likes the snow.
I'd rather have snow than have the
He hasn't forecasted enough.
weather.
Just wait till you bust a snow forecast.
Yeah.
It's brutal. Here, let me bring up. Are these storms in Northwest Arkansas have quite a bit of lightning? I do believe so. Yeah, they're going to be definitely highly electrified. So here is the 6 to 10 day outlook. And I think you're going to see below normal temperatures. Nuts. So this, nothing tonight. Absolutely nothing tonight. Oh, tornado warning in Star City. That just got issued. That's for this cell as the shear starts to increase. Oh, yeah, that's a good looking cell. Oh, yeah, a lot of rotation there. Of course, it's quite a ways away from the radar, so we'll switch radars since there's nothing over by us. As long as it's gone by the time I get back. So there is absolutely nothing tonight, Amanda. Now, tomorrow night, that's a different story. But anyways, here's the 6 to 10 day outlook. Below normal temperatures. And let's look at the 8 to 14 day, shall we, Zach?
Yeah.
What do you think?
Should be pretty cold. Well below.
Winter's not over.
Oh.
The whole entire
country.
country is below normal. Now, what about precip? Above normal, all over. What about precip for the 6 to 10 day? Yep, above
Just
normal.
been so active.
So active. Just
Why can't
doesn't
we just have
stop.
like 1 week where it's just quiet?
That would be nice, wouldn't it?
Would.
So here's tonight's forecast. No storms. Slight chance in the river valley. 47 to 54 degrees. And then tomorrow, 64, 71. Many storms possible. Many will be severe. Most intense will be in the river valley. But, yeah. And there's the 7-day forecast, so you don't even have to watch the news. Strong winds on Friday. Nice warm up. Next week, more storms and rain. And, yeah, we have the potential for some heavy rain and flash flooding. Ooh, wow. Let's get to this tornado real quick. This is not good.
What about Alabama? Dan? Is that Alabama?
What?
There's a bunch of tornado warnings in Alabama.
Oh, of course there is. Span country. Let's go with the warnings window. There we go. Let's pop this up down there. There we go. So that's an impressive storm. Let's look at. You want to see the velocity?
See it?
Oh yeah.
Kind of.
Oh yeah. That's interesting. Man, that just went right over Star City. Let's see if there's any debris with it. No, it's not co-located with the circulation. Let's see. Yeah, see that's noisy signal. But man, big time hail. Uh-oh. Looks like we might have debris now. It just tripped it. You see that?
Yeah, the white.
Yeah. Yeah, that's not good. It's starting to spin up a little bit more. Look at that radar hole. Wow, that's an impressive storm. Okay, Amanda, timing of the storms. Good question. I made this graphic to show you the timing. So this is what we've got, Amanda, for Northwest Arkansas. Notice how there's very little activity, 20% overnight tonight. That's just in case a stray shower pops up. But then you'll see as we move throughout the late morning that this starts to increase and goes up to about 40%. That's that round of thunderstorms in the morning. Then as we head throughout the afternoon, we drop off with that precipitation because that round moves through. Then as the next round comes in, widespread rain and thunderstorm activity lasting throughout the morning, late night into the early morning. Then it kind of drops off, but doesn't drop off completely. And so that's your timing right there. When should you be paying most attention? Probably right in between these two times, 8 to about 12. And then these two times, 8 p.m. to about what? 4 a.m. or 6 a.m. or 2 a.m.?
Probably 4, 3 or
Yeah, we'll just say about 3,
Yeah.
4 a.m. So those are the times that you need to wash. Yeah, rush hour storms, exactly. Sigh. Yep, praying for a 22-hour safe drive. Did you get the chance to see Reed's post? Yeah, I saw that. But yeah, let's look at that real quick. I'll bring that up for you, Kat. Okay, and we'll take a look at it. So stand by here. Let me bring this up. Tools for sounding analysis. Way to go to Sunday 0Z. There it is. That's it. Nope, that's not it. And then it was this right here, 3Z. This is it right here. That's it. Got it. Holy cow. All right. That is insane. So this is what it is. This is the sounding that was launched about 20 minutes before this tornado hit Norman. So, and it was at the National Weather Center, which, by the way, is where the tornado basically touched down. So this is, we're going to show you how to read the photograph. I'm going to make it full screen. No camera on there. Actually, the camera can be on there because I'm not really covering up anything. But watch my cursor here. Okay, so first of all, this right here is a photograph. This represents a wind at the surface or at the lowest level of the sounding at about 15 knots out of the south-southeast. So meaning the wind is blowing south-southeast at 15 knots. This goes up from 15 to 50 knots in less than 500 meters. What is that saying? That's an extremely strong, what we call low-level jet. The low-level jet is an area of winds of just less than a kilometer, and that is causing your horizontal spin. So let me go back to this here and show you what I'm talking about. So since the wind is like this in the lower level and like this in the upper level, that's creating a spin like this, right? So if you just spin this, Zach, or here, we got a water bottle.
Nice.
So go ahead and just spin that water bottle like that. Keep spinning it. So remember, the wind's coming in like this, and then, and so if you put a pinwheel in there, that's going to cause, because of the faster winds aloft, that's going to create a horizontal spin like this, really low to the ground, because remember, that's only 500 meters, 1,600 feet above the ground. Okay? So going back to that photograph, now you've got the area of the photograph showing that. First of all, the 0 to 1 kilometer storm relativity, I don't think I've ever seen an amount that much. 1,017.
Wow.
That is 0 to 1, usually around 200 to 300 is tornado potential. This is so much. The 0 to 3 kilometer. And what that is the area under the curve. So this is the storm motion. So what you do for 0 to 1 is you take this dot right here, you draw a line to the surface. You take this dot, you draw a line to 1 kilometer, and it's the area underneath those two lines, which is the area under the curve. So it's essentially an amount of area. The bigger the area, the higher the number. That's a tremendous amount of wind shear. So the wind shear is very favorable for tornado potential. What is questionable, though, is this. This is called the capping inversion. So we have the temperature, we have the dew point at the surface, which is 65 for the temperature, 62 for the dew point. The depth of the low level moisture is about 1 kilometer deep because you can see those two lines are very close together. Then something interesting happens. This is called a cap or a lid. Now, why is that? Because as you're going up with height, you'll notice we're about 15 degrees Celsius at this point. How do I know that? Because these lines right here are called skewed lines, temperature lines. These are isotherms. Isotherms are skewed to the right because that's essentially what's called a skew T. Because if they were straight up and down, this hodograph or this sounding would be super wide. So that's why, with temperatures decreasing with height, typically in the atmosphere, you have the skewed lines this way. So if we look, we're in between 10 and 20 at this point. That's 15 Celsius above the ground at about 1 kilometer. Now look at what happens here. This line goes to the right, so that's going to about 20 degrees Celsius. So in just a short distance, and it tells you the distance of that cap, 139 meters. That's the inversion, which is not very great, but it's still 5 degrees Celsius. That's a tremendous warming. So what happens is if you're a hot air balloon, you're going to be rising, but then you hit this and you stop because you'll notice my temperature is cooler than the surrounding environment. So this is what's called sin. And if you look, the surface sin is 333 in the minus because it's not rising motion. It's actually stopping that rising motion. It's inhibiting it, which is why it's called convective inhibition. So it's inhibiting that rising air. But once it hits this level, now look at this line. You see that line showing up? That line represents the hot air balloon that's rising. And now we're warmer because we're to the right of the actual environmental sounding. And since we're warmer, we're going to continue to rise all the way until we hit this point. The wider this is spaced apart, the more acceleration you have. And this is called a very steep level lapse rate. In fact, you can see the lapse rate. It's 9.3 degrees Celsius per kilometer. That's how much the temperature is decreasing with height, which is nearly dry adiabatic. Dry adiabatic is 9.8 degrees Celsius per kilometer. So this is what we call a very steep lapse rate. Now you might be thinking, but that's not steep like a hill. Steep like a hill would be straight up and down. But straight up and down, remember with these temperature lines that are skewed, if I go straight up and down, I'm not dropping the temperature as fast because I'm not perpendicular to these temperature lines. So that's the 9.3 degrees Celsius per kilometer. And then as you continue to rise, that's happening. What surprised meteorologists with this is typically because you want that low-level shear, that low-level spin in the atmosphere to get pulled up into the vertical, you have to have that rising motion, that CAPE or convective available potential energy in the lowest levels of the atmosphere. We're not having that though, because if we go back to this, you'll notice the 0 to 3 kilometer CAPE here shows 0. Like what? So 20 minutes before the tornado happened in Norman, this is showing 0 CAPE in the 0 3 kilometer. And that's why, because there's this immersion. So apparently the environment just destroyed this cap really quick, or it didn't matter, it forced it right through it. That's what remains to be seen. That's why everything is so weird, is this right here, this big cap. This is called a cap or a lid. This is also known as a loaded gun sounding. So that's why if you look at all the parameters and you come over here, the effective significant tornado parameter is nearly zero. Why is that? Well, because there's no 0 to 3 kilometer cape, which is an important part of the equation. If you don't have much of that, you don't have much in the weighing of the equation. So, and it was a significant tornado because it was an EF2, a high-end EF2, but it was this capping inversion that screwed it in terms of all that tornado potential. But we know the environment either brought cooler air by rising this air or advected colder air in. I don't know. It's remains to be seen what happened, because if we look, well, there was some pretty cold air aloft. So maybe it advected some colder air aloft, and then that's what eroded the cap right at the last minute. I don't know. It's a good question. Here's the cap again. That was pretty strong. And then look at how the temperature and the dew point weren't all that warm at 0Z, but then look at how much dramatically it warmed. So 6058, if we go back to that 3Z sounding, we've got 6562. So 3 hours, the environment dramatically changed. Also, look at the shear too. We'll come back to this sounding. Still impressive shear, but not overly impressive. But then you come back to that 3Z sounding, and you have much more impressive. Here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to duplicate this so I don't have to keep going back and forth. So you can bounce back and forth and you can see it. Now we go from this to that. Now you get to see the difference. Pretty cool. And that's when the tornadic environment really cranks up at the end. So that is running through the sounding. Kat, did that satisfy your appetite for that? Let me know. So if it didn't have that cap, it could have been a much worse tornado. Possibly, yes. That's a good question. I don't know. That's a question that I don't know what happened to that cap, but it was there. And 0 to 3 kilometer cape didn't show anything. So cool. Awesome. Your walkthrough makes that data set make much more sense. Now here's the deal, Kat. We study that stuff for 2 weeks or 3 weeks in college, right?
Yeah.
To learn how to read a SQT. Oh, yeah, good point. We didn't really go over the hail or the damaging wind potential, but tomorrow, and remember, this update is going to be this severe weather risk is going to be updated. So let me show you that real quick. Good point. And then I'm going to shut it down because I got to get ready for my 9 o'clock newscast. I got to do some tweaking to some of the graphics. So this is the greatest threat. And Gwendy, I don't know where you're at, but this is the tornado risk. You can see it definitely does include the river valley and southern river valley especially. Here is the wind threat, and you're going to see the damaging wind threat's probably one of the greater threats. And then you look at the hail threat, and it's also in that southern area, and it's also included not necessarily the significant, but remember, this could lift north depending on that warm front and where that warm front goes. So that's the hail threat, and you can see it's a lot less for Northwest Arkansas. Still there, but a lot less. If we look at this moisture surge northward, let's see what happens. See how it's getting shunted to the south, but then look at the last moment that tries to return. That's not going to happen. Nope. And you can see the deeper moisture to the south. So in my opinion, yes, this is going to be a major system. Yes, it's going to bring significant severe weather potential. Yes, it's going to be potentially a regional tornado outbreak. I don't think that's for us.
Especially not in Northwest Arkansas.
No, especially not Northwest Arkansas. River Valley could get clipped, but, that's going to be a question too, depending on how that works. All right, guys. Well, that's it. You're in Fayetteville, yeah. It's going to be more rain than hail. But remember, if that warm front lifts northward, then all bets are off. A lot, Brent. We're talking about 2 to 3 inches plus. Tries to return east of us. Yep, it looks like it will too. So, all right, guys. Thank you for watching. This will be my last update tonight because there's really not much else. Yes, the new day one will come out. I don't think they're going to go high risk considering the convective trends as being more linear. Now, we know linear can still bring tornado potential like it did in Norman. But the rain is going to be very heavy tomorrow evening. One last update for those that didn't watch before. We have thunderstorms in the morning hours. So thunderstorms in the morning hours, most likely late morning into the early afternoon. And remember, all these times can change. So isn't that the toughest thing, Zach, is predicting when storms will move in?
Yeah, and what model to go with.
Yeah.
Should we show the graph and see what that's doing?
We should. Yeah, we should. We'll check that out. But here's here's all the rain right there and multiple waves, and then you can see that low that spins right overhead.
Look at that, 6 a.m. Still some pretty heavy rain.
Yeah, really heavy rain. So we're going to adjust that timing and make that a little bit later.
Yeah.
I think that's important. I was just talking about the severe weather threat, but since I'm also mentioning the flooding threat, we definitely have to do that. Okay, let's look at the graph real quick. I'm going to move this up. I don't know if it's you that moves that down, but I like seeing more of this stuff. Here we go. So here's the 3-kilometer graph. This updates every hour. And no storms, no storms, no storms. Ooh, look at all those gravity waves. That is cool. How does the model know there's going to be gravity waves? Isn't that awesome?
Equations.
Wow. I don't think I've ever seen that before. That is awesome. Wow.
I tell you, the graph is great with cloud cover.
Yeah, it really is.
If you ask me, I think that's the best one for clouds.
Yeah, because the HRRR didn't show us having any clouds. Yeah. So it doesn't really have as many storms tomorrow, and I think that's a little underdone. But then watch what happens here. So that's some supercell potential right there. That's some hail. But notice how the storms just aren't as strong here. And that makes sense.
Yeah, not much pink.
Not much pink. But it does have that heavy rain.
It still has it. 6 a.m.
It does.
So on that Friday morning commute, some more heavy rain, potential frozen precip, Dan, Friday morning?
Maybe.
Yeah.
It's a little bit out of the question. I think it's starting to trend farther north in terms of that, but that is a possibility. Check out this. Gould and Dumas is getting a lot of storm activity. There's the tornado warning. That's, by the way, crossing right now 65. So 65 out of Pine Bluff. If you ever go to the beach to Destin, you know that road. We take that all the time. I know exactly where that is. We always stop in Dumas, by the way. There's a good fast food place there, Subway.
Oh, yeah.
That's what the kids always
go
want.
wrong.
Okay, guys, take care. Have a great one. We'll see you on the news tonight. If not, I'll see you tomorrow. We'll have many more updates. Josh will have the latest too, as those storms potentially roll in the morning. Bye. See you guys.